We lived in the lower Ninth Ward, and it seemed, like any other community. We was a mixed neighborhood. I didn't realize there was a division just because of the color of your skin. I never experienced or knew of anything that was racist before then. Never. My old school was very crowded. We were on what we call a platoon session. We had so many students, some had to go into school in the morning and some attended school in the evening. There was an application that was placed in the newspaper for only Black children in the Ninth Ward area. I didn't know or understand that it was to go to a school that we weren't allowed to go to. I was happy about that because I was very uncomfortable at my old school. But that morning, November 14, I'll never forget, when I woke up, my house was filled with family and friends. You would have thought it was like a Christmas holiday. All of a sudden, a black car arrived. And it was the car that the U.S. Marshals drove. And I remember the household getting very quiet. And I remember my mother telling me before we left the house, when the marshals arrived to pick us up, she said, when you get in the car, you sit to the back of that seat and don't put your face to the window. And it was only a few blocks, but we came in from the rear of the building. And when we turned the corner, the street was just overwhelmed with people. It was like I knew a parade passed there. I saw police on horseback, holding the crowd back. I'm thinking they holding the crowd back so the car that I'm in wouldn't hit them. We went up the steps and approached the principal's office, and we were asked to take a seat on a bench that was outside of the office. And we must have sat there a few hours. We were out there so long, Gail and Tessie and I started playing hopscotch on the tiles of the floor. But we finally got placed in the classroom, and school was a full body of students when we got there. And I can remember trying to speak to a little white girl when I first got in the classroom, and it was like I was invisible. She didn't look my way, she didn't say anything, she didn't do anything. Their parents just started pulling them out of the class. There was like a whirlwind. They were just coming in and just getting their children out of the classroom. By 3 o'clock, Tessie, Gail, and I were the only 3 students in that building. We were not allowed to eat from the school. We had to bring our food and beverages. The water fountains were turned off. The windows were papered up. No one could see in, and we couldn't see out. We weren't even allowed on that side of the classroom where the windows were. At that time, the pencil sharpeners used to be on the seal of the window, and we used to always want to go sharpen our pencils, but we were never allowed to do that. Our teacher did that for us. The only time we saw outside was when we came to school in the morning and when we left in the afternoon. Our play area was right under the stairwell that was outside of the door of the classroom. In 2nd grade, we started out the same way, just the 3 of us, until Christmas. When we came back from Christmas holidays, we had 25 other students to join us, but only 2 students were white. In 2nd grade, the marshals were no longer there, and we didn't have the police protection at the house anymore either. We transferred to T.J. Sims in 3rd grade, but at that time, we did not have U.S. Marshals or the police protection. Our parents did escort us to school, but we still had to walk through a little crowd. But it wasn't as crowded as it was at McDonogh 19. By the time we got to 3rd grade at Sims, we knew that we weren't wanted because of the color of our skin. We had figured that out. And it was just the way the students were acting. They would pass us, and if they accidentally touched us, it was like our color would rub off. They would hurry up and wash it off, or we just looked at them. It just was crazy. But the teacher, there was one teacher in particular, and she was just so rude to us, and she would coerce them to tell us that we had an odor, which I knew better. But those things were things we were taught not to even let it go in one ear and come out the other ear. we didn't let that bother us. I attended Joseph Cone Junior High School, which was fairly a new school in that area. The racial division was awful there again. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of it was just, in fact, that was the first time I ever saw a black teacher, I'm gonna be honest with you. My high school was Francis T. Nichols, which the mascot was Rebels, and they honored a Confederate flag. It was awful. Riots, fighting, a lot of fighting. In my 10th grade year, 11th grade, we asked to have the mascot changed. And that caused a lot of fighting, a lot of riots. I can remember the fighting was so bad, the police was coming in the building on horseback. That's just how bad it was. But the mascot did get changed and white flight started again. The parents took their kids out of school. I thank God every day that we were so young when it happened, and I just feel like we were the chosen ones. But I think after Katrina, when we were allowed to go back and visit the Lower Ninth Ward, when my father was still living then, and when we went to see his house, I said, well, let's go by this and look at the school building, and because it's always been sentimental to Tessie and Gail and I. And when I passed it looked repairable. So I went to the school board meeting and did a presentation and, told them about the history of the building. They didn't even know. So I had the building put on the National Historic Registry. Finally got control of the building so that we could raise funding for the building, and that happened in January of 2020. We purchased it. I always promised Gail and Tessie that if I get my hands on the building, it would be named after the three of us, and that's what I did. It's the Tate, Etienne, and Prevost Interpretive Center. And when I used to say that a long time ago, they used to laugh at me. The children know nothing about the desegregation of public schools there, nothing. So if I can put it somewhere where the schools will bring the students to see it, and they need to see it, visualize what happened so that they can feel it and they can understand it. Maybe they'll appreciate school a little bit better. We faced the racism there, and I feel like we can end it there.